Hello everyone, welcome to the Redmen TV. It is the deep dive and I'm delighted to tell you that I'm not joined by Josh. I'm really sorry about that. I'm not delighted to tell you that I'm not joined by Josh. I'm gutted to say that I'm not joined by Josh. I found out late he was in Croatia this week. He thinks he told me. I don't think he did. Who knew? Anyway, we're here to talk Liverpool, Manchester United, the demolition job, if you will. I sent over a couple of potential agendas for Josh last night, and that's when I found out that he was in Croatia for the week. And he said, like, I'm gutted, it would have been a good one. So I just thought I'd do a deep dive by myself, and the way that I wanted to do that for you this week was slightly different to normal. You'll see that there's no tactics board in front of me. I've just got a cup of tea, I've got my iPad, and I've got the live chat open on my phone. I wanted to just break down Liverpool's goals. There's a couple of little things I'm sure that people will have noticed during each of those goals. Sort of moments of genius or good sort of team play or something like that. So I just wanted to showcase exactly how the game was won more than anything. I think Arne Slot did a great job, obviously, and a better job than I can do, obviously, of breaking down Manchester United's press and stuff like that, which is probably something we'd look at together, Josh and I. But for me, I just thought I'd break down the goal. So we'll start off with the first goal. We'll then keep it in order and go second goal and then third goal. It's quite easy, really. I've picked the ball up with Kobbie Mainoo in midfield as Liverpool scored the first goal, and I just wanted to sort of showcase this little sort of quartet of players here, because I found it really interesting that, you know, we sort of set traps throughout the game really for them to sort of play into. So as Kobbie Mainoo picks the ball up there, you can see 4 Liverpool players around him. But I think it's also fair to say that you can see, I think it's Bruno Fernandes in quite a little bit of space here, and we're in all likelihood going to see the pass there, and that's exactly what happened because, you know, we've watched the game. So as the ball goes in there, you can see that it's actually, if I just bring the purple back up, it's actually Ibou Konaté who was going to leave the back line, of which it is a good flat back 4, to sort of press Bruno Fernandes there. So if I just move on to the next one, you can see the ball's there. Ibou started his run, and then the press is about to be initiated from 3 people. Obviously, Ibou Konaté, I think that's Dom Szoboszlai, and then Ryan Gravenberch there. And then we know that Bruno Fernandes is going to have a problem. Now, what I will say is if he was switched on, he would probably have realised that Dalot is available over on the left-hand side as a quick out ball. But maybe he was concerned about a potential sort of movement from Ryan Gravenberch over here. So as we move it on again now, you can see that the ball has just arrived. He's actually, this time, facing this way. So he's kind of looking for an out ball over in this direction here, probably expecting somebody like a Mazraoui or something to get up, because I think what we have noticed is that I think Mazraoui's just sort of off screen, just down there somewhere, is Manchester United really in the build-up phase are trying to get their fullbacks high up the pitch and utilise them to spread the pitch. But as it happens, you can't see him, and therefore the press from these 3 becomes tighter and tighter, and the net's sort of set, isn't it, I suppose? So in all honesty, he has one decision to make, and that is to play the ball back. And, you know, if we just sort of stop it right there, you can see that the 3 of them have really got control of the centre of the pitch, and as such, Bruno Fernandes has only got an out ball going sort of this direction here, back to his centre half. And as such, there you can see actually Mazraoui, and there you can see Dalot over there, the 2 Manchester United midfielders, Zirkzee, Ibou Konaté, interestingly now, once the press is done, is sort of starting to get back into that back line, showing that he understands exactly what he needs to do. You go out and press when you need to, but don't follow the ball. Get yourself back into position and help your mates out here in the sort of back 3, because there's quite a large sort of space over here if Manchester United are able to get into it. So Virgil will be able to come across if obviously Ibou is able to get back into that line. So as that ball goes back to, I think it's Casemiro actually, of course it is Casemiro. I think what he's spotted is the full back over to the left-hand side. Again, if he had eyes for anybody else, you would be able to see there that Dallow's there, but that's a left-footed pass into here. And as we know, Casemiro's legs have fallen off, so he can't play a pass left-footed. So what's interesting for me, and I think for everybody who watched the game, is as I've paused this here, the ball hasn't reached Casemiro in this position over here, but Ryan Gravenberch has already sorted his body position out and has seen exactly what is coming. As I say, he's not taking a touch. He will play this ball first time. And what's really interesting for me is the ball to Bruno Fernandes is being cut off here by Dom Szoboszlai. You got Mo Salah coming in here, which is going to cut off any potential ball to Kobbie Mainoo. And as such, the ball, as we know, is going to be fizzed across. And Gravenberch, looking at everybody's body position, seeing what everybody else is doing, has realised exactly where the ball's going. So we move it on again now. Mainoo's not even looking in the right direction at this point. Bruno Fernandes has decided that he needs to move forwards as well. You got Mazraoui still in loads of space, and obviously the intended Dallow. But once again, it is Ryan Gravenberch who has stepped into that position. He's going to waltz away with the football. And as we just look at it there, you can see we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 players ahead of the Manchester United midfield, essentially. So we're moving on one more. And now you can see the full picture. So we've got Diaz over here, we've got Szoboszlai over here, Jota over here. What's really interesting is actually Lisandro Martinez at this point has already noticed the danger. And you can see him pointing at Luis Diaz. And so obviously he's trying to tell De Ligt, get over there, that's the danger area. But Ryan Gravenberch is going to continue on his run down here. And Mo Salah is going to go round the outside. So as we pick it up now, you can see the problems that Manchester United have got in front of them. I mean, they've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Liverpool players against 1, 2, 3 Manchester United players. They're not in a line. They've essentially got 2 centre-backs and a fella whose legs have fallen off. So now, as we see, Ryan Gravenberch is going to continue that run to draw Martinez over. Jota, this is the genius of Jota, by the way, is already looking at the picture. And you can see that, can't you? He sees Luis Diaz. He knows that Mazraoui is over here and completely out of play. There's absolutely no chance in hell that he is going to be able to get back. So Jota's seen all of that. Szoboszlai as well is looking at the ball and probably thinking, oh, I might be able to get on the end of something on the edge of the penalty area here. Mo knows that he's got to become an option because that will then make sure that Martinez has to honour both the run of Ryan Gravenberch and his run. So as we move on now, look at Jota right there in the centre. Here, he's pointing over his head like that, going, that's the ball, that's the ball, that's the ball. And this is the genius of him. He makes a completely unselfish run whilst telling his Liverpool teammates that you have to get the ball to this man, Luis Diaz. I am going to take away De Ligt in a delightful manner and drag him this way. And that is why Jota is so good, because yes, he's a goal scorer. Yes, we know he wants to get on the end of things. He wants to get those goals, but the team comes first. As we move it on again now, Gravenberch still there. Luis Diaz is absolutely screaming for the ball over here. But Gravenberch knows if I can just engage Martinez, that will give a little bit more space to Mo Salah as he comes round the outside of me. Again, you've still got a nice easy ball there to Dom Szoboszlai, which could have been played quite quickly, and then you could have fed him through there. That would have been a viable option. But the fact that we've got 2 options against him and he trusts in Mo obviously says a lot for the quality of Mo Salah first and foremost, but also just the unselfishness of Mo in these situations. So Jota's continued that run. He's done exactly what he wanted, and he's dragged De Ligt over here as well. The ball's just been played. Martinez is there, Casemiro's there, still looking for his legs. And as the ball comes into Mo Salah at the back stick, we can see quite comfortably that Luis Diaz is there, Dom Szoboszlai is there, and the right back, terrible defender that he is. Imagine if Trent Alexander-Arnold was in that position, by the way. The amount of analysis that would be on Trent Alexander-Arnold, because let me just use my Sky Sports software to work this out. The distance between these two players is 19.5 yards. That's atrocious. That, by the way, that's completely made up, as are 96% of all statistics on the spot, which was also made up. So, as we see, Mo Salah there flips the ball over the top. There's a big shout from Luis Diaz because we know that Dom Szoboszlai ducked out of the way, and the ball, quite simply, ends up in the back of the net. And it's 1-0 to Liverpool Football Club. And, you know, there was a few things there, wasn't there? Obviously, Ryan Gravenberch come up with a lot of the plaudits for his play, and rightly so. I think he was absolutely sensational. Obviously, picks the ball up on the halfway line, releases it on the edge of the area. Mo Salah gets the cross absolutely spot on with his wrong foot as well. The unselfishness of Diogo Jota's run is obviously to be applauded as well. And finally, you know, Dom Szoboszlai getting himself out the way when you've got a open goal at Old Trafford from 2, 3, 4, 5 yards out. That should be applauded as well. So this is a team game by Liverpool Football Club, and I think you could see that right then. I'm going to move on then to the second goal. I've just seen LF Keenan saying, Chris, did we line up 4-2-3-1? No, we lined up 4-3-3. It's obvious, isn't it? I think to anybody who's watching and or listening to Arne Slot that we lined up in a 4-3-3. Can I genuinely give you why I think he says it's a 4-3-3? Because I think a lot of people still look at it like it's a 4-2-3-1. And I'm going to showcase something a little bit later which might suggest that it's more of a 4-2-3-1. But the reason I think he describes it as a 4-3-3 is because in a 4-2-3-1 formation, the wingers are level with the attacker midfielder, and they are part of a group of 3 players across that one sort of row of the pitch, for want of a better word. Because I think the fluidity between the front 3 players is more important than the fluidity between the 3, including an attacking midfielder. I think he thinks of the front 3 as a 3, and he thinks of the midfield 3 as a 3. So they will interchange positions. They will cover for each other in the middle of the park, just like further up the field. When Diaz swaps with Jota and Jota swaps with Mo, none of them are swapping with Szoboszlai. So they are 2 units of 3. They just line up in a very 4-2-3-1 formation. That's what I think now, having watched, you know, 3 full games and look back at them. I might be wrong on that as well. Maybe I still just need better analysis. Who knows? So anyway, we're going to continue with the analysis of Manchester United's destruction. So I'm going to pick the ball up here with Mazraoui, and he's going to play a nice simple ball into Casemiro, whose legs have fallen off, by the way. I don't know whether you noticed. Now, Xerxes' positioning is interesting for a forward. But there we are. We're going to play the ball across now. Or now. Right. Now, this is where I find it's really interesting, because what we're looking at here, in terms of where the ball's going, and that is to Casemiro, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Liverpool players versus inside the box 1, 2, 3 Manchester United players. That is a huge difference in number of players into an area where the ball has been played. And it's really quite interesting for me because, again, this net can close quite quickly. And as we see now, you know, you've got Casemiro, who, unfortunately for him, but brilliantly for us, as Anthony Taylor cast in a pressing shadow over Xerxes, so that pass isn't on. He's got a pass in here to Bruno Fernandes, but he's also got 2 Liverpool players who are ready to jump on that as soon as possible. He's got a pressing shadow from Diogo Jota, blocking the pass out to the right to Garnacho, I think it is. Kobe Mainoo is being marshalled there by Ryan Gravenberch. And because he's got all of that in front of him, he actually switches off to the man behind. And this is something that Roberto Firmino used to do incredibly well. Adam Lallana was brilliant at it as well for Liverpool under Jurgen Klopp, is that little hop, skip and a jump around the side and just picking the pocket, it wouldn't happen to Arsenal, of the defensive midfielder, in this case Casemiro. So as we move it on now, look at that. I mean, again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Liverpool players surrounding Casemiro, and he's panicked and he doesn't realise there's a man behind him either. He's so focused on what's ahead of him that he can't get the ball out. And obviously we can see there that Luis Diaz does incredibly well not to commit a foul, gets that little touch on the football, and then it's just a pouring at the ball by Casemiro, looking for a free kick or trying to get a yellow card or whatever he does, because he's got no legs. He has to use his hands at this point. McAllister picks the ball up and then instantaneously, bang, everyone, bang, straight forwards. Mo's asking for the ball over here. I think at this point, it's fair to say that Manchester United, for once, have got themselves into a pretty decent defensive line. What I find really interesting, though, is de Ligt's positioning, because is this a lack of pace on his part? Because when I was watching the game, not live, but when I was watching it back, de Ligt drops off a lot, you know. And I wonder whether that's like I drop off when I'm playing centre-half, because I know that the 17-year-old that I'm playing against, or 18, 19, 20-year-old that I'm playing against is faster than me. To be fair, a 40-year-old half my weight is faster than me. But I drop off like that. And I just wonder whether this is something that other teams will be able to get at, because that is quite a significant... I know that line's not straight. Let's try and draw the VAR lines. That's a significant difference, especially if you're trying to play a high line or something. You don't want a defender back there. But as we know, Luis Diaz pops the ball off at the right time. You see, we just take it back here now. And I did this for Liverpool, so I'll do it for Manchester United. They've got themselves in an okay little position. They've got a little bit of a net around him. But there's no pressure on this man, Mo Salah, who's just going to amble forwards. There's no need to sprint at this point, is there? Because Mo Salah just wants the ball in between this player and this player here. Because if he gets it in between them, he can damage them. So as we move it on now, actually what's happened is Diaz has actually drawn Bruno Fernandes closer to him. What he should have been doing is getting himself out to Mo Salah, but he didn't want any of that. And as the ball gets sort of popped off over here to Mo Salah, again, I think Manchester United are in a good position, to be honest with you. There doesn't seem to be that same sort of aggressiveness from Liverpool to really pile the numbers forward and heap pressure on Manchester United at this point. They might have actually been expecting something like where Salah picks the ball up here and then them just sort of slowly get themselves further towards, recycle some possession on the edge of the area, but they've got no left winger, so it would have had to have been sort of interplay around here. But as the ball goes out to Mo Salah, again, I will highlight it, I don't think Manchester United have done particularly badly here. Again, de Ligt's still deeper, which has a knock-on effect at this point, because if Diaz goes beyond Martinez, he's onside, and that's all off de Ligt's positioning. But again, I'll continue the point. Martinez is in good position. You can see that he's looking. Dallow's got himself into a position where he's on toes, and Bruno Fernandes is coming over here for what it's worth to try and do some defending. Again, this time it's a 6 versus 3, isn't it? We've got Jota, we've got Diaz, and we've got Mo Salah on screen. But as Mo picks the ball up, he sort of stands Dallow up. And then for me, it's this. Am I going to run him behind? No. I'm going to stop. And I love players that stop on a football field, because it changes the game state completely. If everybody else is running at full pelt and you stop, you create 5 yards in a second, you know, for yourself. I think Martinez defends it reasonably well. Again, I'll be honest. But what you don't expect from this still here is that Mo Salah is going to thread the ball through 2 players. You can't be expecting that. If you were either of these Manchester United players here, you would not think that that pass is on. And because of that, he's not expecting that pass is on either, Martinez. But somebody on this field is expecting that pass is on, because they play with Mo Salah week in, week out. And that man there is Luis Diaz. and he knows exactly what's coming. And as I mentioned before, we were probably expecting a slow recycling of possession on the edge of the penalty area, judging by Szoboszlai, Trent and McAllister just sort of edging forwards. But the ball's played outside of the boot. It's magnificent. What does that stop do? It just frees up a yard of space. But actually what he's going to do again, as the ball's coming to him, he just takes a slight step back. And therefore, Martinez, we know the ball's gone past him. He's tried to cut it out. And he's just going to bend that into the net there, isn't he? Low into the keeper's left-hand side. And Mo Salah, that... I talked about Jota's genius with the pointing for the run before of Luis Diaz, but outside of the boot, in years gone by, I've seen Salah play those passes. I've seen him play them loads of times. Brilliant passes on the edge of the area. But I've also seen him try and take 2 to 3 men on a lot more. And that's what I think we're seeing less of under Arne Slot at Liverpool. That trust that the other guys are fine. We can just get the ball to him. That's a hell of a pass. An unbelievable pass, to be honest with you. So, yeah, absolutely superb there. And then if we move on then to the last one, and I promised you a graphic, didn't I, that might suggest that Liverpool were in a 4-2-3-1. So, if I just draw around these players now, there's your 2, there's your 3, there's your 1. But as I mentioned to you before, I see that he thinks that these 3 players are a grouping and these 3 players here are a grouping. And what's also interesting for me from this is that this lad, Alexis McAllister, is the deepest of the 3 midfielders. And we saw that quite a lot throughout the Manchester United game if you were looking for it. It's not just Gravenberch playing the 6. It's not as simple as that. It's much more nuanced. Gravenberch will drop, McAllister will drop. They'll both look to win the ball. There's a real sort of tag team sort of style to it. It's like, yeah, well, it's fine. There must be a trigger of some description that says, I'm going to be the one that drops and you're going to have to take your position from me. And I've mentioned it loads over the years, whereby I used to play doubles tennis. We used to stay on almost like on a piece of string together. If I move left, they move left. If they move right, I move right. We both go forwards together. We both go back together. It's slightly different to that because you're not on the same sort of row together. You're not moving up and down, but you are looking at what your partner is doing and basing your movements off theirs. And if they're closer to the ball and they're being aggressive, then you have to be passive. And that's what we saw as well between Virgil van Dijk and Ibu Konate, a complete switch from what we've normally seen in when Virgil's at the back. It's always been Virgil's the passive defender and whoever's beside him, you know, is the more aggressive defender. So a Matip, an Ibu, a Kwanzaa or whatever. But in this game, it was Virgil van Dijk that went with Xerxes and it was Ibu Konate that dropped deep. And I think, again, you know, and I'm not got the stills to prove this, but I could do quite easily. I think that they thought that Xerxes was going to drop in and that Van Dijk wasn't going to follow him. But what happened was Van Dijk followed him and that was the game plan gone. Because they weren't expecting that. They were just thinking, well, he's a passive defender, he'll just drop off. But every time Xerxes went to grab the ball in the middle, he had a big old unit in Virgil van Dijk right up his hoop. So couldn't really do much. So, quite easy this one, isn't it? I think we all know exactly what we're looking for. The ball's going to go out and you've got Kobbie Mainoo here. And what I find good again is we've got this man, this man, this man, this man, this man as a sort of net. A bit of a trap again around Kobbie Mainoo. You know, he might own that position in the middle where he is. He might own this green grass here, but so quickly can Liverpool just tighten that net on Kobbie Mainoo. And I'll just get rid of them because also Diaz has got a job here to make sure that he tries to get in the way of this guy just in shot on the corner, because you don't want to let him out around the trap, do you? So as we move it on now, you can see Diaz has closed that off. He's got to take a touch, so Diaz is quite easily going to cover that space there and ensure that there's no pass on down the line there. again, it's almost a perfect pentagon around him, isn't it? Not when I draw it, but in terms of where the players are. You can see, you can feel the net closing in, but who's it going to be? And I think this is something that Jürgen referenced years ago when we were speaking to him, is you can know the press is coming, but where's the press coming from? That's what we had to change a few years ago from Liverpool. And that's when we used to see Fabinho drop a big press from 10, 15 yards away. Rather than maybe a Jordan Henderson or a Gini Wijnaldum where they're expecting it, because as the ball sort of fizzed in here, I think Kobbie Mainoo's probably expecting that it's going to be Dom, or it's going to be Diaz, or it's going to be Jota. Not the fella deepest, charged at this point with maybe being a bit more of a covering player. So as we roll it on, he takes a touch, and you can see already he's on toes, McAllister, and he's driving straight in at Mainoo. And again, the net is getting smaller and smaller, and now there's only 4 of them, but they've got him exactly where they want him. And as we move it on, again, keep highlighting it, literally, the net's got smaller again. And Mainoo's there. And what at this point has Mainoo got to give? Because Gavin Birch blocking off the pass over there. It's completely impossible to get it to this lad here. McAllister stalled his press to actually cast a bit of a press and shadow over there as well. You're not going to play it here. Press and shadow over here, so you can't play it back to the Ligt again. So what can you do? You've got to turn on the ball and trust in yourself. So he turns. Robbo is in a good position, but he's not jumped in front of him. And McAllister just has him. He can't go this way now. The net's closed in. It's a one-on-one duel. How many times already have you heard Arne Slot talk about one-on-one duels? You've got to win your one-on-one duels. He did it after the Ipswich game, he did it after the Brentford game, and he actually even did it after the Manchester United game on Sky Sports coverage in the UK, where he spoke about winning the duel. And this is winning the duel. So McAllister goes in there, bang, big shoulder, wasn't expected. Look at the numbers that Liverpool have at this point. It's gegenpressing 101. You've got in there, and now, whoop, bump, 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 bump. Give me a pass. And McAllister quickly gives the ball to Dom Szoboszlai. And once again, I'll highlight it. Fullback, fullback, centre-back, centre-back. Now, I know I can't draw straight lines, but that doesn't look like a good back four for me. Just saying. So it's a 4-on-2. Both Manchester United fullbacks have been completely taken out of play. Liverpool have Dom Szoboszlai, who's going to continue his run. Jota's going to continue his run. Diaz is going to continue his run. And as we know, Mo Salah continues his run without anybody asking him. And as we move forwards, I love Jota's run across him, because what Jota's run across him does, and again, I spoke about it earlier, but that run frees up that pass into Diaz. I mean, that overhit. That run frees up that pass into Diaz if you want. That's why Jota's run's really clever. And also what it does is it tightens the centre-back here. But we already know these two have to account for now these two players as well. So, as we move it on, he releases. As referenced by the earlier slides, Diaz is now free if you want it. Jota's got his man here. And Mo Salah's in acres of space. And again, what's the fullback doing? You've got to respect Szoboszlai's shot, so you have to stay in the middle. And as such, by the time the ball comes to him, ball goes in the back of the net. But just one more thing of note here. Can I get rid of those? I just want to draw your attention to this man here. They call him Onana. They say he's a goalkeeper. I agree with one of those statements. He's on the edge of the 6-yard line. Okay, nothing wrong with that. It's absolutely fine. He's not on the edge of the 6-yard line. He stepped back again. See that? So, 6-yard line. Drops a yard. right? Mo's here. You need to cut off this area of the goal over here for Mo. Do you step back? Do you step forwards? Do you step left? I'm not a goalkeeper. I don't know. But I know what the right answer is, but I know what the wrong one is. Stepping back is the wrong one. Because now, if you just step forwards instead of back, you're here. Or sideways, you're here. But you've stepped back twice. And you've now opened up all of this space on this side of the goal. It's not good enough by him. It's brilliant gegenpressing by Liverpool. It's brilliant. Each goal was a one-touch finish. But each goal was different. 2 gegenpressing goals, almost. Maybe the first and the third. A moment of genius from Salah on the edge of the penalty box. That's football. That is football. That is liquid football. And then later on, we start doing rondos and stuff as well, don't we? I mean, they got the piss taken out of them at Old Trafford. It could have been more. Could have gone, scored another one straight after. Could have been 5-0. That's how Liverpool demolished them. They stuck to the principles, they took to the system, and they trusted in each other. And United's system ain't good enough. Their individuals ain't good enough. Don't look like they trust each other either. So thank you very much. That has been the deep dive for today. Back to normal next week with Josh and his excellent insight as ever. But thank you, and we'll see you next time. Ta-ra.